As we were walking out after the post-game press conference, we walked out the door at McLean Stadium, walking towards eventually our car, parking. Saw J.J. Joe, Ricky Thompson, among others, walking out as well. J.J. Joe with us on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina out today. Craig is here with me, and I'm David Smoke. J.J., how do you even explain Saturday?
Smoke, the good news is the sun did come up twice, so I feel better today, but it's really not explainable. I think, I've been delayed and I have an article I need to write for Ashley, and I had to go back and watch the game to make sure that I saw what I saw. But after watching it again, what's interesting, Smoke, overall, it looked like, they came in and played like I expected them to, Texas State. I expected them to play like a team with nothing to lose. We didn't respond. And that's the interesting thing to me about the level of intensity. I actually went back and watched our team from 21, and the level of intensity that defense played with is 3 or 4 levels higher than this one is as far as intensity. And that concerns me because I think that, that's the last thing I expected from that defense on the first game of the year. I expected guys flying around like there was no tomorrow. And I just didn't see it on the field, and I hope it changes.
JJ, I guess if there was a bright spot, and they were hard to come by, but there were some things here and there. But I thought Blake Shapen played his heart out given the circumstances. I thought Sawyer Robertson, given the situation that he was thrown into, played really well. There were some things to clean up, of course. But what did you think of the quarterback play, and what are your thoughts as well? And now that we have confirmation that Blake Shapen's going to be out at least a couple of weeks with potentially 3 weeks or however many, but at least a couple of weeks with that MCL injury.
Yeah, it's good to have Sawyer, let him get some game in. And I was, he made a couple mistakes. I don't even count the interception on him. I mean, I think Monterey kind of floated inside on him a little bit. But the fumble, he was really just trying to make a play. So I'm glad he got some action, and now he gets to prepare for a whole week. I thought he played a fine game for a young man that hadn't, he doesn't have really this level of action. So it's gonna be tough for him. Coming in against his first start coming against a team like Utah. I thought Blake played a really, really smart game, a really good game, and he fought through. I do not question Blake's heart. I just hope, if you played and you've also seen it and just watched it, you just hope the kid isn't snake bitten here. Every time I look up, it's just something, and I'm hoping this is, like you say, it's 3 weeks. I've had an MCL in high school. It just sticks with you for a while, though. But I hope he gets back, gets healthy, and gets going. He played a fine game.
I think he did too. And there were times I wondered if, the offense just seems to be stuck in a rut. One, they couldn't run the ball, which is shocking, with all due respect to Texas State. But in the end, Blake, 21, 31, 303, a couple of touchdowns, did not get picked off. He had some drops too. But
Tough
he was
run at the goal line to get in the end zone.
I don't think he made, and this is, again, respectfully, I don't think Blake Shapen sacrifices his body at the goal line like we saw him in that game Saturday night, perhaps last year, like we saw Charlie Brewer probably do too much.
Yeah, you're right. His mentality changed, and you could tell. And he was ticked that he got pulled out. Now, I understand why Coach Aranda pulled him out because he, just like you said, we weren't protecting him up front. And I think our worst fears came to fruition this week at least, is that we knew the offensive line was going to need a little time to gel. We just didn't anticipate Texas State really playing our offensive line like they did early in the game. I think they finally settled down and finally got a few runs in and protected a little bit better. And then also Texas State, we've seen this offense. And I think I asked Coach Aranda this question. Coach Browse used to seek matchups. He used to hunt them like a shark. And as soon as they found him, he would get him matched up against a Corey Coleman, a Kendall Wright, Josh Gordon, Terrence Williams, whoever. And he would go at him and make you yell mercy. And that's what Texas State did to us. They got matched up against our hybrid safeties, our hybrid star. They put Ashton Hawkins out there, and he didn't even have a big game. He had 2 drops. He could have been a star. They put Joey Hobart on us, and they made us yell uncle. And we just never changed the philosophy. And that's what was surprising to me, that when you get in the game, you have a plan, but, the other team has a plan too. And when it ain't working, you say, well, we got to scrap that and try to find out something else to do just to get out of here with the W. And it didn't happen, and that's what was kind of concerning a little bit to me.
How do you attempt to get the run game going, JJ? Because it was a non-factor. We saw very little of Richard Reese, and Dominic Richardson actually had some tough runs there. But what was just kind of your assessment? I know everything problematic for the offense started up front, but if you're running the wide zone and your bread and butter is supposed to be running the football and you can't do that, well, that's obviously problematic. So how do you just sort of see all of that?
Yeah, I went back and watched it. That's a good call. I watched again. I was watching really the line, and early on, Texas State was taking it to our guys. I mean, like Coach said, I think they're a little wide-eyed, and I don't see how you're wide-eyed. First game of the year, you're at home, you're comfortable. But they did some things to us. They really got the penetration. We finally adjusted to it a little bit, I think, in that late in the first half into that second half. But every once in a while, man, if it wasn't a false start, first and goal from the 1, you get a false start. And we've seen this movie. We saw this movie last year. And we had that, and we couldn't overcome it. Then we had a 1st and 15. We'd have a 1st and 15 because we had another false start. And it was just like usually it was just one guy, but it was just a different guy every time. And either we were missing the block at the point of attack, we weren't sealing back to the mic. Number 0 had a great game. I forget his name, but he had a great game because he was finding the ball, and we were not sealing him. The middle linebackers there, and they got to figure out how to try to find something that works. But I really think personnel-wise, he has to find out and say, hey, look, I'm probably going to have to find the fastest guys I have on this team, put them on the field for right now, go to one tight end at the most, and then I'm going to have to try to give Sawyer an opportunity to put the ball around the field and then let him run some, because I think it's going to be a while before we're able to really line up and just move people.
JJ, who was the more talented team Saturday night?
That's smoke. If you ask me today, I mean, I don't think you like the answer, because because sometimes what can happen is that a team can be so prepared. Texas State knew exactly what Baylor was going to do, and they game planned for it. And their guys looked like they knew exactly what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, and why we're going to do it. Our team wasn't sure. We kind of knew what they were going to do on offense, but we hadn't seen this group of guys with this talent execute on film. And when you don't see that, the concept is coming. But I haven't seen this receiver run this route in this offense, this concept, the tempo. So it looked like Texas State was just better. If you just ask me, it looked like that. But I am going to sit here and say, I do not believe that Baylor's drop-off in talent has been that stark in 24 months. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and that's a question I asked Coach Aranda today in my interview with him was, have you taken advantage of the highs with the best season in the Baylor football history of 2021, the Sugar Bowl win, and since that time, it doesn't appear as if they've been able to do that?
Well, hey, that's, I mean, time will tell, but we saw last year we really didn't come out and put it together. And to start off this year with a very disappointing loss, that's something. And it's in today's age of portal and all this stuff, man. They have this. This is the season. I think against Utah, this is kind of the season because this is a tough month, and you got to show, I think, your fans and your players that are on your roster, some that transferred in that came here because Baylor did have that Big 12 trophy in their trophy case. That, hey, last week was an aberration. Let us show you. And it's going to be tough because your quarterback's not there.
JJ, I think you've probably mentioned a couple positives here and there, but I mean, to try and put a positive note on it. I mean, look, reality is reality, but what are some good things, if any, that you saw that can potentially be built upon, or things that you can take into week number 2 here?
Yeah, I really like the way our receivers played. I didn't like they had separation. I think that Texas State does a good job of scheming up some pressures on us, and then sometimes just beating our guy. But I thought the tight end, I knew Dabney was a solid player, so I wasn't surprised by him. But Keyshawn Jackson had a solid game. Josh Burton, Hal Presley had a couple monster catches. I really like those receivers. They were young last year. This year, you could tell that group is matured. So it's like I said, like this year, your line is not as experienced as last year, but your receivers now are showing you that maybe, just maybe, that is the crew that you have to lean on. So while I understand where we want to go offensively, early in the season, right now, you may have to say, hey, I got to put my best 4 receivers on the field and have them out there a little bit more than I normally would, and then hope that I can figure out a way to start getting my offensive line up to speed. So I like those receivers. I did see that. I like Sawyer that he got some action. I thought Dominic Richardson ran really well. That was good to see. On defense, I was a little disappointed, to be frank with you, because we weren't getting pressure. And if you ask me, and I said this, I think I wrote this in an article, Matt Jones, he is lost at the second level. I don't know what it is, but at the second level, we moved him off the ball. That guy has too much talent. He's NFL talent. But you got to tell him, go get the quarterback. And I think somehow we got to figure out, since we can't get to the quarterback, Matt Jones can get to the quarterback. We got to figure out how to get him to the quarterback, because we've struggled for that now. We've seen it for almost 2 seasons.
Hey, man, thank you very much. We'll see you Saturday. It will absolutely be an interesting game if Baylor has heart in it, and I'm sure they do. But, man, they gotta figure it out, because they got a ball of razor blades coming into town to Waco with Kyle Whittingham and Utah. J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback and also color analyst on Baylor Radio. Someone in the chat room said something about